is Rick Aguilar, Senior Cost Estimator with Construction Technology Network. And on these slides, I'd like to spend some time showing some screenshots of what cost estimating looks like from CTN's viewpoint. And this video isn't meant to be a commercial about the software that we're using or anything else, but something that you should know about our company and how we go about doing cost estimating work. You can have several estimators look at this picture and you can ask them a question. I want you to estimate this scope of work, and you could give them some dimensions and what all. And all these estimators will come up with a different way of attacking the estimate. And they will probably come out with about the same cost, but they will go about it differently. When CTN first gets a set of plans, what we try to do is look at work breakdown structures, or WBS codes. We want to know how the owner wants to see the estimate after we're done estimating. And the same thing with the architect. So the WBS codes, they identify the total work to be performed, and they divide the work into manageable elements. For an example, this particular job that we estimated, the owner wanted to see the project by building. They want to see, so what we did is we made a bid item list, and bid items 1 through 19, and we estimated our work into those bid items. And then when we ran the report, we ran it by bid item. When we're estimating work, we look at a assembly, and the assembly basically tells us or asks us questions. And the questions are there to trigger our mind when we're estimating, so we don't miss anything in that scope of work. For an example, if we're doing a footing, it's going to ask you the length of the footing, the width of the footing, the depth of the footing. And as you work your way down the questions, it might even ask you, do you need takeoff or rebar? Or do you need anchor bolts? Or do you need embedded plates? So if you said yes to those line items, there would be another series of questions that would open up, like, how many anchor bolts are required, or what's the lineal footage, and what's the spacing between anchor bolts. So what we try to do is we try not to miss anything in a scope of work. When we answer these questions, they drive quantities. And the quantities here from the questions that we answered are, for an example, like 62 yards of concrete, 1,600 square feet of forming material, and so on. This information will get sent to the spreadsheet. People often ask me, can you do work in other parts of the country? And I explain to them, absolutely. There's two things we need to do, and that's develop equipment rate tables for the jurisdiction that we're working in. So if we're working in California, the rates for equipment will be different than Texas. And here's a rate table just to show you what a rate table looks like. And then we also make up labor rate tables for jurisdictions that we work in. A carpenter putting in a door in California can put the same door in New York, but the pricing is going to be different. Still takes the same amount of time. And here's a rate table for LA County that we put together. Crew tables. Crews are people and equipment that it takes to put together a scope of work. For an example, here's a crew table, and here is a crew, and it's called concrete in place for footings. And so the crew, when you look at that crew, it's made up of a cement finisher, 6 carpenters, a gas vibrator. I'd probably put 3 of them in there, but foreman, iron worker. So that's a crew that you would make up to do a specific scope of work, or the cost estimator company would. Formulas. There's lots of formulas in the estimating system that drive quantities, behind the scenes. You never see this stuff working, but it's all back there. And we have thousands of item records. An item record is give you an example. The description of this item record is slab on grade, foundation, placed concrete. So we're going to put together a crew. That's the name of the crew. This is the formula that drives the quantity. This is the actual crew that's assigned to this item record. And this is the productivity that's used to start. So we can change the productivity as we bring it over into the estimate. We might want to change it to 18 cubic yards per crew hour. And the material costs can be changed from $95 to $125 a cubic yard. And at the end of the estimate, we have what's called add-ons. And add-ons are those things that we add to an estimate, like sales tax, overhead and profit, surety bonds, all those kind of things. We want to impress the owner and the architect or whoever we're working for by cranking out reports that make sense. So we can crank out a report by division, phase, detail. We can also produce a report by bid item, phase, detail. We can drill down. If you wanted to know what demolition, what all that cost was in that $877, we could click on that, drill down, and go deeper into the estimate to see where all that came from. We can do comparison analysis reports between phase drawings. For an example, on the preliminary design and the 50% CD, we could do a comparison analysis between those two designs or those two estimates to see what changed. And that way, if it's, if there's quite a change, we want to know what changed. Why did it go up? Why did it go down? Why did the costs go up or down? We can produce crew reports. We can produce resource summary reports, crew summary reports, and so on. So this is just a little bit of background about what we do in cost estimating. I could have shown you hundreds of projects that we've done, and you would have fell asleep. So what I'd like you to do is take a screenshot of this page or write down the information. And when you get a set of plans, send them over to us, and along with the RFP, so we know what's going on, and we'll give you a price for doing the cost estimating on your project. And if you have any questions at all about what we do, we can do a go-to-meeting, and I could get further in depth with you about how we do cost estimates. Okay, you have a great day, and thanks for watching.